My name is Richard Taylor with ID8 Software. Thanks for joining me today for Round Tripping to Excel with ID8 BIMLink. And if you did just join us, again, the chat window is available to you. My colleague, Glynis Patterson, is answering questions on that chat panel. So don't hesitate to type a question in and we'll try to answer those questions as best as possible. Okay, let's get going here. So ID8 BIMLink. ID8 BIMLink is one of the 6 solutions from ID8 Software. ID8 BIMLink allows you to extract almost all of the Revit data, send it to Excel, and make changes and manipulations, or sometimes it's just reporting. And if you do make changes and manipulations, then you can easily import that back into the Revit model for quick updates. So you can basically update hundreds or thousands of items very easily and quickly using ID8 BIMLink. And there are so many workflows that are supported, but I love pointing out that we're managing the data even beyond schedules. So things like, is it in place? Is it mirrored? Is it pinned? Are just some examples of the kinds of data that we can review. In addition, we also have the ability to look at adjacent categories or parameters. So not only, let's say, the room data, but we might have space data or coordinate data. Or you're going to see, like when I'm looking at rooms, I have level data associated with that. We can also create many new Revit elements using ID8 BIMLink. And we can utilize our pre-configured library of about, we always say 350, but it's probably closing in on 400 sample link definitions that are delivered with ID8 BIMLink. So the focus of the 15 today is really about the Getting Started guide and get you quickly up to speed on ID8 BIMLink. You can access the Getting Started guide actually 2 different ways. From the main menu of ID8 BIMLink, you can access it directly, which I'm going to show in a second here, but you can also access it via the help pages for ID8 BIMLink and then Getting Started guide. When you first start ID8 BIMLink, the dialog is going to show you the welcome page, basically to the welcome panel, I should say, to the left of the dialog, because there are no links defined. Typically, when you first start ID8 BIMLink, there are no link definitions defined within your Revit project. So it's going to show you the quick start guide and information. However, when you do have a link definition, which is very similar to a schedule in Revit, it is the definition of the properties or parameters that you're going to send out to Excel. Once you have a link definition, like in this case, you see the views link, then that panel to the left is going to change and give you other information. And also, this is completely customizable. I put that help link there, but you can customize this to your office standards. You can use your logos and so forth, so it can be quite nice for individuals at your company. So what I'm going to do here is just switch over to Revit very quickly. Um, so I'm going to actually start on the architecture panel. All of the ID8 software tools are accessible through the ID8 software ribbon panel. So I'm going to go over and select ID8 software. I'm going to select on ID8 BIMLink. In this particular case, I made sure that I had no prior link definitions. So it's the first time I'm starting ID8 BIMLink in this particular Revit project. So you see that we get the welcome and the quick start guide over here in the left panel of the dialog. And I wanted to show you that you can click on any of these. You see the help documentation. If I click on that, it's going to go out to the help page, right? And I can scroll down here and you can see there's the how-to section under help, but there's also the getting started guide. And so you see here, if I wanted to go right to the getting started guide, I can do that and start out very simple. All right, let's switch back to the main presentation here. And let's look at a quick example with round tripping using the views. So basically, this is the exact same scenario or sequence that the Getting Started guide goes through. So what we're going to do here is select this, and we're going to go to ID8 BIMLink. As as I just mentioned, it's showing the panel, which is the Getting Started guide and information. I'm going to go search by category and select views. When I select views, it's giving me all of my schedules that will reflect views, but also my library definitions. And these library definitions, like I said, are sample links that we include with ID8 BIMLink. I'm going to select on the views link, and you can see these are the particular parameters or properties that we've selected. However, this is like a template. You can remove properties, you can add properties as much as you'd like. So you can customize any one of these particular sort of templates to start out with. I'm also going to go and specify a filter where the family and type does not contain 3D views, because I'm going to do a renaming exercise here of all of my views, but I don't really care about the 3D views. I'm only going to do plans, sections, elevation, drafting views, and so forth. So now that I have that, I'm going to export it. And again, in the Getting Started guide, we call it My Project. It can really be called anything. That's the name of the Excel. I'm now going to open up that Excel file, right? And so this is the data that is coming directly from ID8 BIMLink. And all of those columns to the left of H, you might wonder, well, what are these? Well, these are drop-down selections, allowing me to fill out the information in Excel without having to remember, oh, what was let's say the view type, or, if I spelled something wrong, like the room types and so forth. So for this exercise, I'm not really going to use that. So what I just did is I hid those very quickly. Now I'm going to use column V as what I call a scratch pad. I am going to do a nice little formula where I'm going to prefix the room the view name with a prefix of Snowden, because I'm using the Snowden data set that is delivered with Autodesk. So once I do that little formula, I'm going to pull it down to all these views, and you can see I've got quite a few. And this is where just one of the many examples of the power of BIMLink. I've got 352 views I'm going to be updating. So now I can copy those values over to column G, which is really the main column that's going to have the input. So now that I save that, I basically quickly did a prefix of every single view with the word Snowden. I'm going to do the reverse process here where I select on the My Project Excel file and import those changes back into the Revit file. Now, I always have the ability with ID8 BIMLink to review the changes before I actually commit the changes. So I can see if everything's the way I want. I can review any error messages, and then import. And once I import, you can see there over the left of the project browser, every single view, except for the 3D view, because I filtered that out, has the word Snowden in front of it. So again, I updated, hundreds of pieces of data very easily, very quickly using ID8 BIMLink. So you can see I've updated the plan views, the section, the elevation views, and so forth. Now, another example is not only using our fantastic library link definitions that are included with ID8 BIMLink, but you can use an existing schedule that is within your Revit project, because that schedule has parameters or properties that you've chosen. So we can use that as a template as well. So let's go ahead and look at that. Again, I'm going to go over to ID8 BIMLink, and I'm going to say new. This time I'm going to go by schedule. It's going to review all of the current schedules that I have within my project, and I'm going to pick on a room schedule. And so I select next, and again, it builds those parameters or properties. It even filters the room schedule, or filters the information the same as the room schedule. Also, again, this is kind of like a template. It's not linked to the room schedule in the sense that, well, once I create it, now if I make a change here, I'm going to be updating the schedule. It's allowing me to sort of pull the properties, and then I can add or subtract. So I want to show you the available properties. Here's where I was talking about earlier. You can go level, coordinate. I'm going to look at all the level properties, and I want to add the level name to this particular export. So I started out with the schedule, but then I'm sort of adding to it. So I actually added the department, and I also added the level name. And so here I'm going to just give it a name for the Excel file. We'll call it rooms, and I'm going to go open up that particular Excel file. Now, in this case, I can do the same type of edits or changes. In this, I'm going to just scan some of these. I'll just change some of the room numbers. Typically, I would encourage you to use our ID8 renumber tool, which allows you to renumber the rooms sort of contextually. but certainly you can do it here as well in ID8 BIMLink. I can fill out information, for instance, department values, and I can use the power of Excel to cut and paste information very easily. I can also select on, let's say, the room type. This is where that pull-down menu comes into, and I can say that I want to maybe copy and paste multiple items here.
Okay.
And I thought that maybe everyone was on mute. Glennis, I don't know if you can mute people or not. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And so again, I'm going to actually select a very simple formula. So I'm just going to add, instead of the word Snowden, I'm going to add SN in front of these room names. And I see that I made an error because the formula has to start with the equal sign. So I'm going to go back and modify that. And now I can select on the information there in column J, use that as that scratch pad, and I'm going to copy the information and paste it over to the value there, which is the room name itself. So now I'm basically putting a prefix in front of every single room to be SN. So I'll save this Excel file and again do the exact opposite this time, import the information from Excel. So now I'm going to select on that rooms. I'll go ahead and hit open. And you see that again, it gives me the preview of the information that's going to be changed. If there were any error messages, maybe it was a locked by work sharing or it was a Revit read-only property and I can't make that change. So it's going to tell me that. But now I'm importing that and I've now updated every single room name to have a prefix SN in front of it. So very easily, very quickly being able to make those kinds of data changes. The last thing I'd like to show you with ID8 BIMLink is just something that sort of goes beyond the Revit schedule as far as when it comes to workflow with ID8 BIMLink. And so we have this excellent workflow for revisions. And so what I'm going to do is our library link definitions, I have 3 of them that are going to go to a template that we provide you. If you're a BIMLink user, you can request this template by going to support@id8software.com, or I should say sending us an email at support@id8software.com. And we, as long as you're a ID8 software BIMLink user, we're going to be able to give you that. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm actually filtering out, or basically I only want sheets that start with A. And so I'm looking at all of the sheets. So I have the actual revisions on sheet, the revision sequence, and the revision numbering. The BIMLink dialog, a lot of people may not know, is actually active down below when it gives you the preview. You can make changes very easily. So I'm actually updating the model as I do this, or when I select OK, I'm updating the model. So anytime if you want to make sort of live updates, even with the text, you can do that very easily. So now I'm going to export this to my DIR template. This is the template I was telling you about that you can request with an email to support@id8software.com. And this template is really nice because it allows you to look at the revisions, the revision numbering, the revision sequence, and it puts those into a matrix. You'll see here, we have a little macro. So you can see that there's all the sheets along the left-hand side with the revisions along the top. And then in that matrix, it's telling you which revision is used by that particular sheet. And so then I can update the information. I'm going to call this the Philadelphia Southern Hospital. Now, how do we get that information back into Revit? Here's where we can use ID8 Sticky. So I'm going to create a quick view, or a sheet, I should say, and I'm going to link that in with ID8 Sticky. So we'll say create. I'm going to point to that Excel file, that DIR. It has multiple worksheets, but I'm going to do the DIR, which is the summary. I'm going to call this revision schedule, and then just select OK. And voila, as they say, I have now my revision schedule in a matrix that's now on my sheet with all of my sheet names along the left and all of the revision sequences along the top. And you can see I can customize it with images and so forth. I've got the Philadelphia skyline, but I see I've got the city that says Texas, so obviously I need to make a change there.
I'm giving you a little golf clap. Nice job, Richard.
Yeah, so in summary, BIMLink allows you to export information to the Revit from the Revit model to Excel, and then import that back into Revit. If you're not a BIMLink user, you can download a 30-day no-cost trial. We do limit the number of exported rows to 25. However, that is the only restriction. If you're a BIMLink customer and you don't have that DIR template, I would encourage you to send an email to support@ideatesoftware.com. And with that, are there any questions, Glynis? I know we're right at 2:30.
We are. Great job squeezing it all in. That's a lot of content to cover. Yeah, Matthew had a good question. He said, could you use, I think when we were talking about the views specifically, could you use this to add the detail number and the sheet number to the front of every detail in the project browser that's placed on a sheet? So I assume if the question is, can I rename the detail views so that they have the sheet number on that, then the answer is yes, you could absolutely do that. Those are fields that we have as part of the view property.
Yeah, and in Excel, you saw how I was able to prefix the word Snowden as an example, but you can actually take, let's say, the room number and the door number as well, just so two fields, and you can append those together. So maybe the door has information from the room or space. So you can append columns together as well as just prefix and append text data as well.
And one of my favorite new things about the view data specifically, we're always adding new properties, right, that our customers are asking us about. I know that we recently added one of the related data tables to views specifically, was that we added the sheet view set information, which means that you could, for a list of views, you can now use BIMLink to also say, these 10 views belong to this specific sheet set. So it's a great way to kind of keep on top of your sheet view sets. And the same is true for sheets. It's both either sheets or views. But that's thanks to our beta testers and customers who requested that particular piece of information.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I'm showing it's part of the views, but it also has its own BIMLink definition for view sets, so that you can see that there is the actual sheet view set, and then which sheets are associated, as Glynis said, with which sheet or view sets. So you can say, oh, I'm just going to pick these and select these, right, and add those to the set very easily. Okay, well, I know, like I said, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday wherever you are. And thanks for joining us on this journey of 15 at 15. And I hope you continue to log in every other Friday for your tips and tricks for Ideate software. Thanks.